Hello everybody, welcome to the I Am IT Geek YouTube channel. My name is Shabazz Dar and I am the IT Geek. Welcome to this bonus episode this week. So this will be the second video that I've published. And the reason I'm doing it is mainly because I missed an episode and I missed publishing any content while I had COVID. But also this is based around a blog post that I did a few weeks ago. And it's a bonus video, as I mentioned, and it's a demo for the passwordless authentication for Azure MFA. So I know that there's obviously already a blog post around it, but I thought I'd do a video for those of my followers and viewers that prefer watching rather than reading. So I'm just going to do a demo of that blog and what I wrote about and show you how to configure it. So I'll crack on and get into the portal and show you what we need to do. So here we are in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and what I've done is I've from here I've opened up the Azure Active Directory console here. So this is in my I Am IT Geek tenant, and the first step was to create a group that I'm going to apply to this passwordless authentication within MFA. Now this is obviously assuming you already have MFA configured in your tenant. And if you follow some of my other videos in the MFA series, you can see how to get all that configured. So what I've done is I've created a passwordless group here. And what I've done is I've got a single member in there, which is going to be test user 1. Yes, I know that's really original, having a test user called test user. But that's just how I roll. So that's the first step in before you start doing any other configuration. Make sure you've got this prerequisite of having a security group set up in Azure AD. So once we've confirmed that user group is created, we want to go down to user settings because we need to now configure the combined registration experience. So if you go down to user settings here in the menu, and then what we want to look at here is the user feature preview, and we go to manage user feature preview settings. So click on that. Wait for that to load, and then here you will see the option for users can use a combined security information registration experience. Just hover over that. Just give you a bit more of an explanation. Basically, this feature will enable users to register and manage their security info for multi-factor authentication and self-service password reset. So this is a feature that we need to enable. For yourself in your own portal, it's more than likely going to be set to none. As you can see, what I've done is I've selected the selected option, and I've gone into select a group, and I've selected my passwordless authentication group. So essentially you'd click on, you'd select selected, you click on group there, and then you could choose your pre-created group, which I did already. Select that, and then let's just change it for a second, save that, and then go back to selected. As you can see, the group's already there because I selected it earlier, but essentially what I want to show you is you need to make sure you click on save. And that's important, otherwise it won't save the settings, which is quite common when you don't click save. None of your settings get saved, funnily enough. So once this item's done, we can move on to the next part. So the next item we want to configure is the authentication method we're going to be selecting and using. So if we go back to Azure Active Directory, we then find our way down to security. And here we are looking for authentication methods. And here in the manage section here we have two options, policies and password protection. We are concerned with policies only in this case. And in the center here we have three methods available to us. We have the FIDO2 security key, which are the hardware keys that you can get from various vendors. We have the Microsoft Authenticator method, which is what we're concerned with, and then we have a text message method, which is out of all these three, that's probably my personal least recommended, just because it's the least secure, and it can be hacked essentially. Text messages, it's not secure as the FIDO2 security key or the Microsoft Authenticator app. So as I mentioned, we're going to be using the Microsoft Authenticator app. So as you can see, both of those are disabled and that one is enabled. So if we click on that, what I'll do is I'll zoom into the area below and we can look at the settings a bit closer. So as you can see here, we've selected on the Microsoft Authenticator settings in our method. And down here we've got the option to enable or disable it. So normally this will be disabled by default. I've gone and clicked on enable, which has allowed me to either set all users as my target or a specific group. As you can see at the bottom here, I've already selected the passwordless group. But essentially you can go in there, select it, and then down here we have the registration optional is disabled, that's grayed out. However, if we click on these three dots, we have two options. We can either remove or configure. What we want to do is configure, and I'll take a closer look at those settings. Just move my screen up and I'll show you what we have there. So as you can see here, when we click on the configure option at the bottom, we get the authentication mode, and we drop this down. We can either have any, passwordless or push. As you can probably guess, we're going to select passwordless, and we're going to make sure the number matching required stays on yes, as that's the default. And then what you see at the bottom, you've got the option to just click on done, and then again, very, very important that you click on save, which is further back here. You see the save option there. Make sure you click on that to save the settings. So we'll go back to the Azure Active Directory and configure the next settings. So next what I want to do is I want to go to check the multi-factor authentication setup, just to make sure the correct authentication methods are in place. So if we go back to Azure Active Directory, we go to users, and we want to click on multi-factor authentication here. And what I essentially want to do is check to see if my test user is enabled or enforced at least. So as you can see here, the status is enforced, which is fine. That's either enabled or enforced. You'll normally find it says enforced. So that setting's there, so we are good on that setting. The next setting I want to check is for the service settings. So if you go next to the users here, I have service settings. And what I want to make sure is that the verification options and the methods available are the ones that I need. So in my case, it's only the notification through mobile app that I wanted configured. What I've found is if you only enable what you need, if you have any of the others enabled, it kind of can cause conflicts. And what I've had in the past, for example, I've wanted to use the notification through mobile app, but the text message to phone was enabled as well, and it defaulted to that as the first type of method. So out of just best practice, I disable everything I don't need, and in this case I only want the notification through mobile app, so that's the only one that I have enabled. And just make sure when you do that you save it, so you don't lose what you've configured. So here, this portal that we're in now is to configure our security info as the test user in my case. So if you go to a web browser and go into https://aka.ms/mysecurityinfo, you'll be prompted to log in as with your user credentials. So in my case, I logged in as the test.user1 at imitgeek.com. And from here, what we really need to do is configure and add an authentication method. So in my case, what I did was I added the Microsoft Authenticator method. So click on add. You'll have options for an app password or Authenticator app. I selected Authenticator app, clicked add, and that essentially added the option in here. As you can see, I've got my iPhone connected to it. So once you've done that, you are then ready to log into Microsoft 365 for the first time and configure with your Microsoft Authenticator app. So the final step before we're ready to use the passwordless authentication for MFA is to do some setting changes within our Microsoft Authenticator app. So this step is assuming you all already have the app installed and you're using it for your security on your other services around Microsoft 365. So as you can see on the side here, I've got a quick video of the settings that you need to set that I did from my smartphone. So the first thing is you want to make sure I've got touch authentication on mine, and here you can see I've got a few different accounts. I suppose I shouldn't really be showing those passcodes, but they change all every 30 seconds, so there's no security risk there, hopefully. And at the bottom there you can see that we've got the IamITgeek test.user1@imitgeek.com. So what I've done is I've clicked on that, and that's taken me through to this page here, which is my settings for my multi-factor authentication. So I've got notifications enabled, I've got a one-time passcode there, which again will change every 30 seconds, so it's not that big a security risk that I'm showing you that. And what I have at the bottom here, which is the important part, is to enable phone sign-in. So what I need to do is I need to click on that, and what that'll do is that'll take me through to this next page. And if you click on the blue button at the bottom, which is slightly out of screen unfortunately, essentially this is explaining the sign in with your phone, stop using your password and still sign in securely with Microsoft Authenticator. Complete the steps below to enable phone sign-in. So you need to do device registration, you need to set a passcode. So both of these my devices already is. And if you follow the instructions, if one of these items isn't installed, you can just follow the instructions on screen that come up and you can configure that. And then once you've clicked on the blue button below, you should see the outline of that will enable the passwordless authentication, and eventually it will go back, and that is the last setting configured. So what we need to do now is we can go ahead back to the Microsoft login portal for Microsoft 365, and I can show you what the passwordless authentication looks like. So here we are on the Microsoft 365 login portal, and here what I essentially want to do is put my details in, so that's my username. And if I click on sign in, what that'll do is that'll basically give me a message saying was going to send me a sign-in request. So from here I need to go onto my Authenticator app and wait for my notification. So if I go to click on send notification here, you see this number here. Essentially I need to select that number on my phone, it'll pop up, so I select that on my mobile, and eventually that will sign me in without my password. So that is the passwordless authentication setup and working. As you can see, I've got all my apps that I can use, which in this case is none of them because I've not configured any for this test user. But that's how you configure passwordless authentication in multi-factor authentication. If you have any questions around that, please let me know. Drop me a comment on the video. This was just like a little drop-in video that I wanted to do as an addition to my blog post, really. This isn't really an official episode within the MFA series, although I'm going to put it within there. So it's just something I thought I'd do to give another type of media content for the blog, in case there's people who don't really like reading much. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. It was just a bit of a bonus video, and if you've got any comments or questions, please let me know. But until next time, thank you and goodbye.